Okay.
All right, folks. I want to welcome everybody to the 110th annual Hart Reunion. 110 years, sort of a milestone anniversary today. We've got a great turnout today, which is very nice to see. Got a lot of information I want to go over today. Want to start off, of course, with the unpleasant information. We've had a few deaths in the family. I was given a sheet here. I'm just going to read it as it is because it's so well done. Charles Richard Lavender Jr. died April 16, 2018. He was the son of Nancy Ann Hart Lavender and the late Charles Lavender Sr., the grandson of Ray Holman Hart. Danny Lee Allen passed away March 15, 2018. He was the son of Mayola Taylor Allen and Arthur Allen, grandson of May Hart Taylor. Robert Hart from Texas, he used to come all those years. He passed away, I think, last year or the year before. His wife, Ann, died in Texas on June the 10th of this year after complications of dementia. Juanita Doris Young passed away last August. She was the daughter of Maddie Hart Doris and Wilbur Doris, granddaughter of Frank Miller and Nanny Holman Hart. So that's going back a ways there. One other I wanted to mention, Laurie Murphy, who attended all those years from the Fair Board. She was very sick last year. I made the mention that she wasn't doing well. She actually passed away a few days after the reunion last year. So I wanted to mention her. Does anybody know of any other family members that have passed away this past year? That's good. Very good. And the sun comes out. I've done, as I walked around for the last couple of years, we had the youngest here was, his last name was Mavis. He's right up here. He got bumped off this year. The youngest one that I know of, it just turned 2. Her name is Lily Cotton. Man. And right there with a little pink bow in her hair, right there. And as far as I know, she's the youngest one here. Dude would like to mention that Miss Ollie Ruth wanted me to mention that Annie not Miss Ollie Ruth, I forget who. Yeah, she asked me to mention this. Annie Mantlow broke her hip, and she is in a nursing home in Bowling Green, Kentucky, recovering. That was you. Okay. So all I've really got on that line, last August, we were up here discussing the eclipse that came through here. We had people from all over the world, literally, right here in Springfield. And I rode around, talked to people from all over the country and all over the world. There was a group of people that were camping right out here, right off this corner, right up under these trees right here. So I walked down and I said, "How y'all doing?" Because, you know, I got to talk like that because I'm from here. And they looked at me and they said some kind of, so I couldn't understand what they were talking about. Well, I finally deduced that they were from Geneva, Switzerland. Ooh. They had come all the way from Switzerland and ended up right there.
How'd they find it?
Well, the center of that eclipse came right through here, and they wanted to get as close to the center line as they could, and that's how there was a guy down there in a pickup. He was from Texas. They were from Utah. They were from Africa. I mean, you name it, they were all right in this area. We had several sitting around in here that happened to end up being here. But anyway, I just wanted to mention that because, you know, what's the chances if somebody from Switzerland ended up right there? But anyway, wanted to mention that. We had to spend a little bit of money this past year. That big tree that was right there, y'all can see it's gone. It cost about $1,700 to get that tree taken safely to the ground. And of course, once we got it down, we had a bonfire up here that lasted a few days. Also, up on the upper end up here, there was a tree limb fell. It took out part of the fence. That was going to cost about $1,300, but it ended up costing about $20 because the guy was generous enough to give my dad some parts. He went and got a piece of pole and put it together himself. So we had to spend quite a bit of money this year, so y'all keep that in mind. Want to do a quick shout out and a thanks to Reeves down in Ashland City. They always provide the Porta Johnny. The barbecue, as always, is from Baldwin's, Michael Baldwin. The chairs in the van over here are always courtesy of Robertson County Funeral Home, especially Tim Harris. I called him Friday. I said, "Hey Tim, the reunion's Sunday." He said, "We already got them loaded up." They knew it was that time of year, and they just had them ready to go. And like I always say, they do that because they want our business. You know,
They'll get it.
yeah, they'll only let you down one time. But a couple people that do a lot of maintenance up here. A lot of people don't want to mention names, but Morton and Norma Jean Pennick do a lot of work up here. I want to thank them for that. Mr. John and Mary Douglas Nicholson, and I was told to call him John Hart today. He took his name tag off over there. But thank y'all for what y'all do, and there's a lot of other folks that, like I said, we won't mention, that do a lot of work up here to keep it looking nice for us. Yeah. And it's a lot of work to do this. I always say my contribution is more of the logistics. I drive and pick up things and do things. I'm not much for a weed eater. The sign-in sheet this year, everybody asked about the sign-in sheet. It's down at the end by the barbecue. You have to sign it or they won't let you eat. So that, you know. Right. Now, I've got a special request from Miss Ollie Ruth. She wants everyone who was born with the last name Hart to raise their hand. Anybody that was born with the last name Hart to raise their hand.
Still got a bunch.
There's a bunch of them.
I want you to count them.
Oh, you want me to count? Oh, goodness. Well, I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I see 18, maybe 19. We'll call it 20. That's 20 of us up here with last name, was born with last name Hart.
Thank you.
Now, it just, yeah, we're glad to have it. I was curious about that too. We've got a special.
We get in line first.
Right, that's a good idea. Yes, ma'am.
They're all in my generation.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
That's it. After that.
Yeah, after that, yes. They're all in her generation, Miss Ollie Ruth, and that's it. And I think I'm generation 30, according to Mr. Tom here, and I'm on there by myself. So, speaking of Mr. Tom, he's got a special request. He'd like to come and say a few words about some research he has done that I find quite intriguing, and it answers a lot of questions a lot of people have been wondering. So, Mr. Tom, if you'd like to come in and say what you've got to say, I'm sure we'll all be interested in this.
Last year was my first time at the reunion. I knew there was family up here, and especially the ones in the cemetery. I didn't know a whole lot more at that time, but I really got inspired by this. Family expanded big time. I'm the great-grandson of Henry Hart Jr. And my family's settled in the Nashville area, and some has gone out away from there. But my mother was a historian in our family, and she gathered up information by going to the courthouses and the graveyards and cemeteries back in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and she wrote down little notes, and she put together handwritten lineages. She died in '88, and so I felt all that work she did needed to be preserved, and I stuck it in a 4-door filing cabinet, filled it pretty well full. Didn't touch it again until about 2000, and then I started putting it into a computer database, personal ancestry file database. But after I was at this reunion, Joseph gave me a DVD copy of the Henry Neal Hart book, and so I started adding information to mine, copying it from there. Norma Jean had put most of that information into it for the generations that were after Henry Hart here. So I added all that information and put it in a database, and then my mother was really interested in finding the ancestors of Henry Hart that immigrated in 1635. And so I got interested in that, pretty obsessed with it, and had no success at first. Bought some new tools, family tree maker software, and access to Ancestry.com. And so I started finding my way through that. I looked many times for Henry Hart, couldn't find anything that fit. So I said, well, I'll look through Rebecca. Now, his wife was known only as Rebecca at that time. So I made a hit. I found Rebecca Elizabeth Hammond, and she was married to Henry Hart, her son named Thomas Hart. That's it. She was from her family. I found her parents. They were from Ipswich, England. So I started looking for Henry Hart from Ipswich. Found his parents. Then I started looking for their parents, and I got 6 generations of Harts, wow. Including him from one family's tree. Somebody in England had put it together. Ran out then, stopped, rested a little while, got back into it, and I found 10 more from another family tree in England. So we got 30 generations of Harts now. Wow. Philip being youngest there. Yep. Made that one book. I'm not going to make any more books like that, but I gave that to Norma Jean for the work she put in this. And y'all are welcome to look through that. But I've got that same information on some DVDs that I'd be happy to give out. The work I've done was done for the family, and there's no charge for any of it. I won't accept any rewards for that. But it's really been a thrill to me, especially the hunt for Henry Hart's ancestors. But that information has all the people that were in Robert Neal Hart's book. So I'd like for us to meet afterwards, after we eat, and talk and get to know each other better, and I can tell you a lot more detail about that if you're interested. And I give out some DVDs, and run out. Well, maybe we got folks with email that I can send it to. So that's all I got to say. I hope you all join me after lunch.
Have you done pictures of anything?
I got a lot of pictures. I got maps.
He's got maps of England in here, where they came from, and the earliest one in here was Stephen Hart. It was spelled H-A-R-T with an E on the end of it. So we didn't need that extra letter. But it was like 1100s, what was it?
1172.
1172. So, but anyway, definitely want to talk to Mr. Tom about that. That's just intriguing to me. Does anybody else have anything they want to add, say, or mention?
That's it.
Very good. This time I'm going to ask Owen here to return thanks. He asked me to do it. He done such a great job. He wanted to do it again this year.
Oh, great.
All right.
Okay.
I would like everyone with their hats on to please take them off. Lord, we thank you for this day that we can get together for the 110th time and spend time with each other and get to know new people that we haven't met and just spend time with each other and have a good time. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank y'all, and don't forget to sign in the sheet.